Hello and welcome to Caregivers First, the show brought to you by SCAN, helping active adults stay informed and empowered. My name is Lavelle Jones. Thank you for joining us today. We have lots to share, so let's get started. Research shows that most people over the age of 50 want to stay in their homes as they age, and they want to be safe. So today we're going to explore why and how we can make our homes safe for all ages. I am so pleased to have two guests today, Christine Newman and Tejal Parikh. Christine is the Director of Community Outreach and Volunteer Engagement for AARP New Jersey. In this role, she works to advance AARP's social mission of fighting for and equipping the 50-plus population in New Jersey with the tools and the resources to help them live their best lives. Prior to AARP, Ms. Newman also worked as a licensed social worker and as executive director of several nursing homes. Christine attended Rutgers University in New Brunswick for her undergraduate and graduate education. Tejal Parikh is a licensed occupational therapist. Throughout her career, she's worked with individuals all through the lifespan, from infants to geriatrics. She's been a part of the Riverview Medical Center family since 2017, where she enjoys working with adults from the local community. Tejal was born and raised in New Jersey and attended Seton Hall University. Tejal and Christine, welcome to you both.
Thank you.
So happy to have you here with us today. And Christine, my first question is for you. AARP advocates for age-friendly communities. Exactly what do we mean when we say age-friendly community, and why is that something that's important to caregivers?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me, Lavelle. Happy to share. We've entered a hugely significant time for the demographics of our country and across the world. Our population is aging. By 2030, 1 in 5 adults is going to be over the age of 65. And if we go out 5 years later, 2035, for the first time in history, we are going to have more adults over the age of 65 than we have children under the age of 18 in this country. And what we also know is that, and what you alluded to, Lavelle, is that a large proportion of adults say they want to stay in the communities they currently call home. Our research shows that 76% of adults say they want to stay in the homes they're currently in for their life. 77% of adults we surveyed said they want to stay in the communities they currently call home. So really, the goal of making communities more age-friendly is how do you make them a great place to live at any age, when you grow up, but also as you grow old. And this has become a real top priority for AARP because of that feedback we've gotten from communities. AARP, and I'll talk a little later about this, is the US affiliate for the World Health Organization's global network of age-friendly communities. The World Health Organization developed a model framework. It's 8 domains of livability. And these are really, when we talk about what is age-friendly, it's how do you use the built environment components as well as social to make sure communities are great places to live. So if we look at the 8 domains, they include everything from parks and public spaces, transportation, what we're talking about today, housing, and then more of the social environment. So social participation, civic engagement, communication and information, and community health services. So these are the built and social aspects of a community that make that a place that could either be age-friendly or could not be age-friendly.
Christine, I have a question because this is certainly enlightening to me. I often hear the term livable community. Is that the same as an age-friendly community?
That's a great question, and I'll explain how our organization AARP frames this. So we really look at livable communities as the overall umbrella and arching term for how do you make improvements to a community within these 8 domains to make it more livable for anyone at any age. Age-friendly is taking that same model, it's taking those same concepts, but really applying a targeted lens to older adults, specifically in the community. I think terminology folks might have also heard is things like social determinants of health, which we hear a lot in healthcare. Very similar concepts, right? It's how you're taking, multiple aspects of a community to improve livability, or for us, our focus on age friendly. And I think for caregivers in particular, when we talk about the 8 domains, making sure that a caregiver can get to the one that they're caring for, right? That we have good transportation in place, making sure that housing options are accessible and intergenerational. So really age-friendly and age-friendly concepts are critical to supporting our family caregivers.
Terrific. Thank you, Christine. That certainly answers that question for me. I appreciate that. And Tejal, I want to ask you a question as we get into this discussion. You are an occupational therapist, and most of us are familiar with that term, but I don't know that we know the details. So if you would take a few moments to tell us about occupational therapy, exactly what is it, and how does that help people who want to live in their home safely?
Sure. So an occupational therapist, we're a part of the rehabilitation team. Often we work alongside the physical therapist and the speech therapist. But we are trained to work with individuals all across their lifespans to help them adapt and modify their lifestyle or their home environment or even their work environment to make it more functional and safe for them to function within. We often make recommendations to make adaptations or modifications in your home, depending on the room, depending on what your abilities are, your budget even. So we try to work with our clients to make sure that we can make their homes safe and accessible for them.
Terrific, thank you. So when you refer to making home assessments, what are some of the things that you would take into consideration? Off the top of my head, just on my own experience, I'm thinking of things like, is there someone in the home who has an illness or physical disability? Are those the types of considerations you take into account when you assess a home's safety?
Absolutely. We consider medical conditions. We consider the type of living environment that somebody lives in. And there are, depending on the different rooms that are within the house, if the bathroom is upstairs, what adaptations can we make or to make it easier for somebody to stay on the first floor versus the second floor. Even in terms of caregivers, if a caregiver is able to physically assist a patient, or whether or whether we need to make recommendations to have other services to come in, or how we can have other members of the family or social support to come and support our clients.
Great. Thank you for giving us that explanation, because occupational therapy is something that can be very important when we discuss making homes safe. In fact, occupational therapy is something that is highlighted in a document that I just recently became aware of from AARP. So, Christine, let me ask you a question. Furthering our discussion about livable communities, I know that AARP has a document called the Home Fit Guide. Talk to us a little bit about what that guide is and how that guide is connected to our discussion about making homes safe for all ages.
Sure, and it's actually a great time to be having this conversation because our Home Fit Guide, which was developed actually in partnership with Occupational Therapist, is going through a complete revamp and refresh right now. So I feel like this is a little bit of like a hot off the presses for folks, and we can actually connect folks with how to order their own copy for free. It'll be out September 9th, the new version, so we're really excited about that. Basically, homes today aren't currently designed or built to accommodate everyone in a household throughout their lifespan, especially some of the trends we've already talked about. Folks are living longer, making sure that homes are accessible throughout that lifespan really is what's going to make or break an individual's ability to stay and thrive successfully in the home. So AARP's Home Fit Guide examines what makes a house or an apartment age-friendly, and then it suggests modifications you can do to the home to improve the age friendliness of that structure. some of the suggestions can even be very simple, low cost, no cost, right? Sometimes it could be as simple as, you know what, pick up the runners in the hallway so you don't have an interrupted surface. But the guide goes from room to room, and it also gives you tips on how to assess each of those rooms to see what are the things maybe you need to change. So there's some do-it-yourself fixes that the guide goes through, some that are, you know, how visible is the number on the front of your house, so that if you needed to call emergency services, EMS, ambulance, are they going to be able to easily see your house number from the street? You know, how are the exterior pathways? Are they well lit? Are the sidewalks even? And then again, it goes through specific rooms similarly with suggestions. We also have a section in the guide that's called This, Not That, which I love. And it's simple things again, but you know, they can make a huge difference. So using light switches that are panel versus toggle, so using this, not that. But those are much better for dexterity, or someone who may have some dexterity issues. So again, I think anyone who's interested in this, you can actually order a copy for free by just emailing aarp.org. I'm sorry, livable@aarp.org. And if you just send an email requesting a home fit guide, we can actually send that directly to you. And on September 9th, if you go to our website, you can even just download the brand new PDF of it as well.
That is great information. Thank you so much for sharing that, Christine. I would very much like to do a deeper dive into what Christine has presented to us, and that is, let's call it a room-by-room tour of the house to address safety issues. And so, Tejal, I'm going to turn to you for this, and I'm going to ask you to give us some of your observations and tips around our bedrooms. I know that a bedroom in particular is a place where there are probably lots of opportunities. So I'm going to turn it over to you to share what you want us to know about bedroom safety.
Absolutely. And the bedroom is such a personal space out of all the rooms in the house, right? The living room, people gather, bathroom is also private, but the bedroom is oftentimes our own sanctuary, and we like to personalize it to make it comfortable and to make it relaxing. But there are certain obstacles that people do encounter unknowingly, even just having, like Christine mentioned, having throw rugs or area rugs that are within the room. You want to make sure that we secure those to the ground or remove them completely, because they can increase your chance of falling. Other things that I recommend is having night lights throughout the bedroom that can lead you to the bathroom, especially at night. You want to avoid different, you want to avoid keeping objects on the floor, such as even slippers or books or, jewelry boxes, dressers. You want to try to keep things spaced out, so that way you're not bumping into things at night or even the daytime. And then you want to have easy access to a night light, where you don't have to necessarily get up and turn off the lights. So you can use different devices, whether it's like a Bluetooth speaker that can take commands where you can turn off the lights without having to roll out of bed, or even have simple night lights where bedside lights where you can just touch them to turn them off, versus actually pressing a button or searching for a button, especially at night when you're tired.
Those are all excellent practical tips. In fact, I often, think that I have too many things on my night table, and I've created a hazard all on my own. So I would very much like to continue this deep dive into the room-by-room tour. So we are going to take a very quick break right here, and when we come back, we'll pick up the conversation with Christine Newman and Tejal Parikh.
You probably already know that rehabilitation is a must for successful recovery from surgery, injury, or serious illness. What you may not know is that you're free to choose where you go for rehab. In Monmouth and Ocean County, the compelling choice is Care One. Where you choose to go for rehab matters, and with Care One, you have 4 convenient locations to choose from in Monmouth and Ocean counties. Care One at Jackson, Care One at Wall, Care One at Homedale, and Care One at King James in the Atlantic Highlands. At Care One, you'll work with a team of experts to develop a plan based on your needs and goals. You'll have the full support of caring, compassionate physicians, RNs, licensed therapists, and nutritionists dedicated to helping you recover successfully without setbacks at a pace that makes you comfortable and successful in meeting your rehabilitation goals. Once you take the first step with us, you'll never look back. Call 877-99-CARE-1 today and come for a tour.
Hello and welcome back to Caregivers First. We're talking with Christine Newman and Tejal Parikh. Before the break, Tejal was giving us some tips on how we can make our bedrooms safe. So Tejal, I'm going to come back to you. I think you had one other item that you wanted to share.
I did, and one of the things that I tend to recommend to my clients and to my patients and even caregivers is just a simple use of a bed rail, something that fits between your mattress and your springboard, because it will allow you to get in and out of bed a little bit more safer. It gives you that ease, and it's a really an easy, low-cost adaptation that you can make to your bedroom environment. And Lavelle, there's actually one other thing that I wanted to mention. Oftentimes our bedrooms are upstairs, and once we're upstairs, we forget, oh, I need my charger, I need my water bottle, I need a scissors, a pair of scissors. So I always suggest keep a second pair of those items upstairs, so that way you're not running up and down the stairs, in a haste, so we can try to avoid falls or trips or, forgetting other items.
Great tips. Thank you so much, Tejal. I appreciate that. Christine, I want to ask you a question about the AgeFriendly Network. You've done a great job of sharing with us how encompassing and broad the AgeFriendly initiative is. So I know that AgeFriendly, it goes beyond our homes and it extends into our communities. So I'm thinking that support at the community level is probably important to any successful age-friendly initiatives. So I know you've worked a lot in this space, and you worked specifically with the AARP Age-Friendly Network. Tell us a little bit about the network. What is it? And I don't know, do any communities in New Jersey belong to it yet?
Sure, and absolutely, you hit the nail on the head there with, really successful age-friendly initiatives come from the community members and leaders. So the AARP network of age-friendly communities is an effort with the World Health Organization that provides a roadmap for communities and community leaders who want to become more age-friendly. So the network started in 2012. Today, there are more than 400 communities in the United States that are part of that, and that covers over 100 million residents. In New Jersey, we actually have 14 communities. Yes, our first community was Princeton. Princeton joined in 2014, and then our most recent is actually an entire county. So Somerset County joined the network earlier this year in 2020. And so what communities who join the network are doing is they're actually committing to a 5-year process of continuous assessment and improvement in their age-friendly environment. So community leaders start by enrolling in the network. They apply, they send in a letter from the highest official in that community saying they are dedicated to improving age-friendliness in their community. And then after that, the community does a period of listening and survey to really hear what are the areas or what are those 8 domains that the community does really well, and maybe which domains do they want to focus on for improvement in age-friendly. After that, year 2 is developing an action plan based on that learning. And then really years 3 and 5 is implementation of that plan. So some folks, some communities tackle all 8 domains, others, go deep on 1 or 2. And then at the end, that 5-year mark is really that critical evaluative piece. So, what did we say we wanted to do? What did we actually do? And then communities can, at that point, choose to enroll in another iterative cycle. So we're excited because our first communities are just sort of hitting that 5-year mark right now. And it's really exciting to see, how this has really taken off here for us in New Jersey.
That's an exciting let me just ask you, is the age-friendly network open to any communities, or do you have to be a certain size, or what is the prerequisite for joining the network?
Yeah, the network's actually really flexible, and it's designed because we know no two communities are exactly the same. So, we've got very rural communities that have joined. We've got cities that have joined. So here in New Jersey, we actually have the city of Elizabeth, which is in the network. And then we also have smaller communities like Westwood up in Bergen County that have joined. So the model can work for any size community. Really, what I think is most critical is, sort of those public-private partnerships. Do you have the support of local officials? Do you have the support and feedback of community members? And then how do you engage your nonprofits, your business community in those discussions? So the more voices and perspectives you have in that conversation, I think the more successful an age-friendly initiative is.
That's a great idea, because I think with any of these major initiatives that are focused on the well-being of the community, getting the community involved and listening to what the community needs, I think is really fundamental to success. So tremendous work going on there. Thank you for sharing that. Tejal, I would like to come back to you, because any discussion about safety in our homes, I think, has to address the issue of slips and falls. I do know that the National Institute on Aging says that 6 out of 10 falls occur at home, and that falls are among the leading causes of fatal injuries among seniors. So I am going to ask you, based on your expertise and your experience, what are some of the typical slip and fall hazards in our homes, and what can we do to fix them?
Sure. And, we all know somebody who slipped and fall. Most older Americans know of a neighbor or a friend that's done that. And that oftentimes puts fear in people. And I always suggest, you really want to consider your own home environment and think, what can I do to make this place safer for me? And sometimes having another set of eyes or ears to come in and evaluate, even if it's a neighbor or a healthcare provider, to say, okay, why don't we try to move some furniture around so you create more space? And like I mentioned earlier, remove area rugs. But other things are like even securing handrails on steps, whether it's inside of the home or outside of the home, fixing broken steps, and including even in the bathroom, getting anti-slip mats for the bathtub, securing those bath mats that sometimes can slip away, especially when the floor is wet. And then moving on, even in the kitchen, you want, oftentimes people try to climb up on chairs to reach higher items on higher shelves. So having a sturdy step stool with a hand, preferably with a handle, will help prevent falls in the kitchen, keeping things at counter length, so counter height, so you're not reaching too high, or you're not bending down too low to pick up pots and pans. And even in the refrigerator, commonly or frequently used items, you want to keep them at waist level, so that way you're avoiding excessive bending that can end up hurting yourself and causing a fall.
Those are excellent tips, and I can share, being a person of, let's say I'm not the tallest in my family, having things that are waist level really is helpful to me. And I think it's important that you remind us, especially those of us who are older, that we should not take chances and risk falls, such as climbing up on the kitchen counter to reach that. I have done that myself. I will no longer do that. So thank you.
Good. We definitely don't want to see you hurt.
And Tejal, you mentioned something that piqued my interest, because I've seen it in action, and that is fear. And I think it's important that we protect ourselves and we minimize risk, but we also want to manage so that we don't become so fearful that we don't do the things that we want to do. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? What have you seen in your experience?
Sure. And what I've noticed or experience is that oftentimes older individuals or older adults start limiting themselves in doing activities because they are afraid of falling. So they're limiting their mobility. They're not getting up and walking to the bathroom as frequently, or they're not going up and down the stairs. And honestly, active mobility within the home, safe mobility is key. And as I mentioned before, you really want to take your home environment into consideration and ask yourself those questions. Go room by room. You don't have to do everything in one shot. You don't have to do everything in a week. But if you make a list of things that you might want to consider moving around or changing to make it safer for you, make a list, and go through it week by week. Adding motion censored lights on steps or in hallways can help also facilitate keeping yourself safe at night, or when people are visiting your house and you don't want them to trip and fall. So the thing with fear is that you can take become more independent by making these changes on your own.
Thank you for making that point, and I think that is so key, because everything we're discussing is toward the goal of helping all of us live in our homes safely and independently. So I appreciate your making that point. Christine, I want to ask you a question, and I think it's relevant that we're in a pandemic environment, and as we talk about making our homes safe, are there any considerations because of the pandemic environment that we should take into account as we assess our homes?
So I think to Tejal's point, this is an opportunity where most of us are spending a little more time at home right now. So this really is an ideal time to kind of do some of this assessment that maybe we don't normally have the capacity or time to do. We don't have to do this all at once. You could take a week, 2 weeks to do that room by room. But since we're all spending more time indoors anyway, now's a great opportunity to actually take a really candid look at some of the things. I mean, I know for me, we just get really used to the way things are in our environment, right? And, just being able to take that step back. And I mean, our smoke detector, my husband took it down like 3 weeks ago, and I just got so used to not seeing it that I had to kind of really take a step back, look at the room again from like a fresh perspective and be like, right, we should really get that taken care of. So, this is a great time for us all to do a little bit of that assessment. And then I think the only other thing I would add is, we spend a lot of time talking about the importance of washing our hands during this. And when you're taking a look at your rooms, well, those high contact touch areas that, like the light switches, which we want the rockers, not the toggles, or the cabinetry, making sure that we're taking a little extra time to wash that down and sanitize it as well is critical.
Terrific suggestion. Thank you so much. And I will share that what I've done, I have a little stand that I just put next to my front door. I live in an apartment. So whenever I step into the front door after I've been out, the hand sanitizers and the wipes are right there. In fact, I can't get in the apartment past them without using them. So thank you. We have just about 30 seconds left, but I wanted to ask each of you if you have any parting comments that you want to leave with our audience about keeping our homes safe. Tejal?
Take a look at what you can fix easily. Ask relatives, friends, neighbors, or contact a contractor to help you make simple changes within your home, especially in the bedroom, in the bathroom, and highly trafficked rooms in your home.
Thank you. Christine?
I would just like to encourage folks to go ahead and check out all of our livable age-friendly resources at aarp.org/livable. And in particular, it's a great opportunity right now to order your own home fit guide. We can get it out to you starting early September. And that's at livable@aarp.org.
That's great. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of our show. Christine and Tejal, I want to thank you both so much.
Thank you.
And I have learned so much. You have given us so many useful tips for keeping safe and healthy in the comfort of our own homes. So I want to thank you both so very much. And I do hope that you'll come back and visit us again in the future.
Sure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
That would be great. Thanks again. And many thanks to our viewers for joining us today. I do hope that you enjoyed the show. Please join us for the next episode of Caregivers First. Until then, stay safe and take care.